Everything happened for a reason. God knows what you have done to be able to do what you want to do today. But today, we see some colorful events happening. It may already happen in your heart. You just need to figure it out.
Sitting at the Consciousness Social Panel at Expose 2015, hashtag Expose and 2015. And here's a question Jack doing, right? Why are we here right now? Especially, why are you sitting in front of me? You know, why am I sitting in front of you? Why am I so lucky to be here? So question is to each of you, what was the craziest job that you did and that you think led you to where you are right now at this moment? So, or just what was the decision in your life that led you to be here right now?
I'll be totally transparent. I haven't held many jobs, but it was definitely working at the farmer's market. And I don't know, I just remember when I was really young and going to friends' houses and their parents would have like food in their fridge, and it would always be like the big companies, like you'd see Kraft butter or cream cheese, and that was like a safe choice. That was like, no one was really that inventive in their shopping. And I started to notice, like, as I was in college and I was going to the farmer's market and Smorgasburg and all these really cool flea markets sort of around the city and around the country, you start to notice people being really daring and wanting to try like crazy new flavors and cheeses that are aged in caves in Vermont, and this sort of like awesome like risk-taking and it like sort of challenging your palate. And that was definitely through that whole network that I started to see, wow, we're moving past supporting big brands, and we want to find sort of like what Etsy did with crafts. We want to find what the food producers are doing in that world too and support that. And that was a real inspiration, really informative, and really provided a lot of hope for me moving forward, yeah.
So for me, I think my book actually talks about the entire trajectory of my life, the book Do Cool Shit. But really, the number one thing I think was working in production. You know, in New York City, producing an event like this, you have to deal with making sure there's a venue, making sure there's there's the actors, the hair and makeup, the motorhome, like all the different things that you're required to produce a commercial or music video. You acquire those skills. It's production, and that skill set is really transferable into starting a business. You have to hire people. You have to make sure they get paid on time. You have to make sure the product you're creating is delivered on time. You have to make sure your client's happy. So these are all sort of, parts of a skill within one industry are directly transferable to entrepreneurship. So if you think you're like, I don't know anything about entrepreneurship, but you work in production or you're an event planner, then you're actually closer than you think.
So for me, I think like Michael, I grew up actually in a family that was part of the restaurant industry. We had a small family restaurant, and I don't know how many folks in the room have actually worked in the restaurant industry, but it's really difficult. I see a lot of heads nodding. Watching my father start his own business and start it from a place of passion about hospitality, about sharing his love of food and creating food. It was really insightful to know how much other stuff came along with running a restaurant. And that's why I'm here.
So one is that, my parents are kind of white-collar workers, and that's like what I knew to do. And so I was getting a master's degree, and like it was painful. And I got connected to kind of two things happened, but a startup company there, and I was like, oh, this seems like really interesting. And that bug kind of hit me. I was like, oh my God, I can be creative. It's like fast-paced. And while doing that, I actually started running a small pop-up taco stand. And that was kind of like the first piece of me seeing what it's like to be a food entrepreneur. And then the second thing, which was more recent, which is that 3 weeks into dating my girlfriend, we took an impromptu trip to Mexico and Guatemala. and that was really, and she was really the muse for a lot of this, and that was really the spark for the trajectory that I'm on now.
He said, let's do it, that's all. And yes, at 15 I was given a restaurant, and that was the very first time I actually understood, and now I have so much respect for the food industry. I would not do it again. So
What kind of restaurant?
It was a Latin restaurant, of course. But oh my goodness, you and everyone else in the food industry, I bow down to you, as well as mothers, moms. Wow, it's amazing what the behind the scenes is. Nothing compared to what really it takes to actually get it even started, to continue it. I only did it for 2 years, and that was throughout the journey of finding out I had the tumor and everything, which I stopped and I sold it. So yes, that was my backstory.